After living almost 20 years in America with no criminal record, Alejandra Juarez was deported to Mexico on August 3rd, 2018, under former President Donald Trump's zero tolerance policy, despite being married to a United States Marine and having two American-born children. Alejandra's story made headlines, was showcased in a Netflix documentary, and was told by her youngest daughter, Stellas, at the Democratic National Convention in August of 2020. On May 3rd, 2021, Alejandra returned to the United States after the Department of Homeland Security granted her a temporary reprieve known as humanitarian parole. She's now back home with her family in Central Florida, reunited with her husband, Cuauhtemoc, also known as Temos, and daughters Pamela, 20, and Estella, 12. I spoke with Alejandra in 2018 after her deportation. Alejandra and Temo are with me today to discuss Alejandra's case, her deportation, her happiness in being returned to the United States of America, and her next steps moving forward. Welcome and congratulations to you, and welcome back. 3 years too long outside of the United States. I know everybody on our show and at my office were very happy to hear the news that you returned. So that's fabulous news, and congratulations to you and your family.
Thank you, Mr. Brad. Thank you for having us today.
Thank you, Mr. Brad.
And so let's take a look back at what happened in 2018. We had spoken after you were deported to Mexico.
As I was arriving to Mexico, I prayed to God to let me die. You know, I kept praying for my airplane to fall off. Oh, for something to happen so that I wouldn't stay in Mexico, because to me it was unthinkable.
When we spoke in 2018, you told me how helpless you felt after you'd been deported. What kept you going for these 3 years?
My kids, and the fact that I felt like my husband deserved better. I mean, I know what I did was wrong, but it just wasn't fair. I mean, he deserved better.
The punishment that they gave you, which was permanent deportation, being separated from your spouse, who, by the way, toured Iraq and defended the United States of America and the interests of the United States of America, put his life on the line for our country. They don't look at it as punishment. Deportation is a civil offense. But any way you look at it, it is a punishment separating families. And this was permanent separation for something you did a very long time ago. Obviously, you did something wrong, but the punishment's got to fit the crime.
The mistake that I did, it was done before my daughters were born. And they were punished, my husband, which, you know, he's a Marine, and my daughters, they're U.S. citizen. And what I did, it was a long time ago. And after that, I'm a good person. I pay taxes. I mean, we work hard. We achieve the American dream. We don't harm anyone. We love this country.
Your offense was you paid a smuggler to bring you across the border from Mexico to make a better life for yourself in the United States when you were 18 years old. The smuggler dropped you somewhere near the border, told you to claim you were a U.S. citizen. You didn't know any better, I assume. And when you came across the Border Patrol, that's what you said. And you were interrogated. You didn't speak or read or write English at the time. They discovered you were not a United States citizen. And as a result of making a false claim to U.S. citizenship, listening to the Coyote when you were 18 years old, you ended up having a life sentence of never being in the U.S. This happened after 1996 when they changed the immigration laws. Prior to 1996, there was a law that if you did make a false claim to U.S. citizenship, you can get a waiver for it, based on hardship to your family. Now, if the false claim happens after 1996, you can never, ever, ever, for that one mistake, return to the United States. Certainly the punishment of separation of your family didn't fit the crime.
Exactly.
And then you made your way back to the U.S., but then tell us what happened after that.
Well, I came here and then I worked hard. I met my husband. We paid the taxes and I tried to do everything right. But I kept saying in my mind, you know what? I did something wrong. And till this day, I feel bad about it. I apologize. And I'm ashamed of what I did 22 years ago. This country is about second chances, right? So I thought, you know what? Maybe one day I will be in front of the judge and say, you know what? Lady, you did something wrong, but I'm looking at your 20 years of your life and you've been a good citizen. So this country, is going to give you a second chance. But I didn't get that. I got, I was deported without even a chance to see a judge. I mean, all this time, I've been crying. I've been asking to see a judge. I want a judge to look at my life and look at me and look at my history and say, you know what? We need to look at case by case, not just going by the immigration law, because immigration laws are broken.
They are, because there is no second chance for you. There was no second chance for you when you made that false claim to U.S. citizenship when you were 18 years old, because you listened to the coyote and that's what he told you to do. And there was no second chance for you after you returned to the United States. So there was no steps that you were able to take to make yourself legal. Temo, you're a decorated United States Marine. You're a veteran of the U.S. military, 3 tours of active duty in Iraq. If you are in active duty in Iraq, certainly as a Marine, you are putting your life in danger for the United States of America. So number one, thank you for your service. You're also a Mexican American. You're a staunch Republican. You voted for Donald Trump in 2016. And this, despite the negative rhetoric that, all Mexicans are rapists and criminals, and, all of his other rhetoric that he used on his campaign trail in 2016 against undocumented immigrants, especially Mexicans, you still voted for him. Tell us what made you vote for Donald Trump.
Well, the reason I voted for him was just I'm a conservative Republican financially, and some of the abortion issues too. That's what got me leaning to vote towards Donald Trump.
So it's the social issues. In other words, you believed he was pro-life. You believed he was going to lower your taxes. You would do better economically, but you didn't believe his rhetoric on immigrants, because if you did, I assume you wouldn't have voted for him if you really believed he would follow through and start deporting people.
That's right. Yeah, that's the reason why I didn't believe he was going to do that. Obviously, something that I regret, because, it really hurt me directly. They're my family, obviously my daughters, and obviously it was a really, really hard financial struggle, mentally, physically, towards the family once we got separated.
Now, obviously, you didn't feel very good when Alejandro got deported. Tell us about your feelings, what went through your mind, what did you do?
And all I can think is, just trying to, look out for my wife, look out for my daughters, make sure that they're okay, and gotta find a way to make it less harder than what it is somehow. I just kept telling them, and it's gonna be okay. You just gotta keep working. Obviously, my wife kept working while she was in Mexico and make it everything easier. What she kept pushing, she kept contacting people, filing papers, interviews, and it made it happen.
Now, you wrote a letter to Donald Trump about your wife, Alejandra, about your family situation. It was a personal letter directly to him. Did you ever hear back from his office?
No, I did not. I didn't hear anything about it.
So you're now in Mexico. Where were you living in Mexico? How is it living in Mexico, being that you weren't there for 20 years?
Due to safety reasons, I couldn't go back to the place that I was born. So I have to go back to a place that I didn't know. I had no house. I live in a hotel till I found a place to live. So I went from having a nice, beautiful house to having a place to live, right? It was a nightmare.
And did Temo and your family come visit you often?
Yes, I was very blessed. My husband thinks that he has a good job, so he was able to go see me 2 times a year.
What did you try to do to return to the United States?
Well, to be honest with you, I knew, because I was told by 33 lawyers prior that there was nothing to do because I have a lifer. The only way to come back, it was by changing the laws. Or I was hoping for a new president to take over. And I knew the ones that a good president took over, I was going to come back. I knew I was going to come back.
So you applied for humanitarian parole.
Yeah, when President Biden won, my lawyer, she says, you know what, have you ever thought about filing for humanitarian parole? And I was like, yeah, I thought about it, but I don't think, when you look at humanitarian parole and the requirements, they are, very hard to get approved.
Sure.
So I was like, no, it's not going to go through.
Right.
It's not going to go through. So I did it with no faith, to be honest with you, because I was like, they just going to say you don't have enough hardship to come back. But I did it anyway.
Well, you were surprised when it got approved, I assume.
No, I wasn't surprised.
You were not surprised.
No surprise, because I started watching the TV that the Biden wanted to reunite families. And I said, when this administration and talking about Majorcas, here's my case, they're going to be, this is a good example. You know, we need to reunite families. You need to reunite military families.
So your parole is temporary. When did you return to the United States?
I returned the 8th of May, yes. And it's going to be expired in a few months, in May as well.
How was your first night back in the U.S.?
You know, right now, it's been almost 7 months and I kind of believe it now, but I still, I just can't believe it sometimes. Something tells me that I don't know how, but I know that I'm not leaving again. I mean, I'm not going to stay forcefully, but I know that this administration is going to do things right.
Now, your Congressman, Soto, he's been fighting for you. He helped petition the Biden administration to reunite you with your family. He recently introduced legislation to protect military families from deportation called the Protect Patriot Spouses Act, which also includes new language to allow eligible veteran spouses like yourself who have been removed or left in the United States to apply for immigrant visa, green cards, and return to the United States. We reached out to Congressman Soto, and he wrote a statement for your particular interview with us. And I'd like to read it if you give me a minute.
Sure.
Alejandro's departure from the United States was heartbreaking. I joined the Juarez family at the airport the day of the deportation and witnessed how devastating Trump's harsh immigration policies can be, literally tearing families apart. Since that day, I made a promise to the Juarez family to never give up fighting to reunite them. I am proud to say that our office worked with President Joe Biden's administration to secure Alejandra's humanitarian parole and help reunite her with her family earlier this year. However, our fight is not over until Alejandra is granted a permanent stay and all separated families are brought back together. I continue to push for a permanent legislative solution through legislation I've introduced, such as Alejandra's private bill and the Protect Patriot Spouses Act, and by supporting legislation that will allow Alejandra and military spouses in similar positions to permanently adjust their immigration status. My office is also working closely with the administration to ensure Alejandra's humanitarian parole is extended and ensure she is able to remain with her family. Now, he has worked extraordinarily hard for you, almost like you're part of his family. He even was at the airport when you were getting deported. How does that make you feel when you hear something like that?
I know that I'm extremely blessed, and I've been told by so many people, you have no idea, your congressman is going out of the way. I mean, I have residents, his constituents reaching out to me and say, these have never been seen. A congressman they don't usually get that involved. You know what I mean? But the fact that, you know, he saw my pain when I was leaving, he saw my daughter's pain. I mean, the fact that he knows my husband served this country, and most of Americans, Mr. Brown, know that this was wrong. No military family should be separated again. And it needs to be fixed not only for me, for all the veterans, or all the spouses that have been deported. They need to be returned to this country.
And by the way, when you say your husband served the military, you served the military too. Because if you didn't exist, your husband couldn't go to Iraq to represent the United States, to put his life on the line, because he would have nobody to watch his children and take care of his family. You gave him the ability to go serve. Without you, that wouldn't happen.
Exactly.
Now, Estella read a letter to Donald Trump. That's your daughter, 12 years old, right?
Yes.
At the time, in 2020, she was 11 years old when she read the letter at the Democratic National Convention. How did she get to read a letter at the Democratic National Convention to Donald Trump?
She's the one that told me, I know when President Biden hears this letter, he's going to bring you back. She was like, Mom, I know you're coming back.
How did she get chosen to read the letter?
I believe a producer watched the documentary. She was part of the Biden's campaign team. And she reached out to me and asked us if we wanted to participate. And, you know, and she knew that she wrote a letter And I was like, yeah, sure, no problem.
And she reached out to you when you were in Mexico.
Yes.
That must have been strange. Somebody is asking a deportee to have her daughter, who's in the United States, who you can't even see, participate in the Democratic National Convention in the presidential campaign.
Well, you know what? I think the thing about my story is most of Americans support military families. It doesn't settle with them good, the fact that I got deported. So I think they knew that my story was, perfect example of how the last president treated certain immigrants the wrong ways.
It is very rare that somebody comes back in your situation without the publicity that you've garnered, which is great for you and sad for others who can't get it.
A lot of the cases that we know and we're familiar, some of them, they don't want to go public. They're afraid to go to the press, to talk to the press, because they will get, trace, or they will get ostracized a little bit. We took some of the heat, especially me saying, oh, that's what he gets for voting for Trump. And obviously I read him, but I didn't took no mind of it. I just focused on, making my wife and my family, making it less stressful as possible, so we can keep working, and that's what got us back. Keep working at it, and don't lose faith, and never give up.
I agree with you. I think anybody who wants to get their family back needs publicity, especially when the law doesn't allow it. Now, Estella, your youngest, the one who spoke at the National Democratic Convention, she has now written a children's book about deportation through the eyes of a child titled Until Someone Listens. How did she come up with that idea to write a children's book?
I think it was her way to heal, because I was too emotionally depressed. So that was her way to get her feelings out. And she said, Mom, I've been looking for a book to read that helped me, and there's no books out there that can help little kids. So she says, I want to write a book about little kids, how they feel when the parents get deported. And, I told her, just keep writing. One day, I'm sure you're going to have the opportunity to let it out. So yeah, after the video came out, we got reached out by a publisher asking Stellas if she wanted to write a book.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And she did it.
It's coming back actually next year. I believe it's in November.
All right, great.
Yep.
Now, how did the deportation affect you physically, mentally?
That's something that I don't think I will never be able to heal. I am not even half of the person that I used to be before. It messes you up so much psychologically, not only me, my kids, and my husband. I am seeking the assistance of a therapist, and I hope that one day I'll become the half of the person that I was before.
Temo, you want to talk also about how it affected you?
Emotionally, it destroys you. You've been separating, seeing your daughters, missing their mom, and especially Pamela stayed with me. And obviously having her mom, she's more attached to her, having her advice and, being her when she comes back from school, all that came into play. And also not seeing them when I'm separating, the financial hardship too, trying to provide for two households and wonder how we're going to make it. It takes a toll on you. It takes a toll on the family. It does leave you scarred, definitely. Well, obviously it's happiness was, and I keep telling her, just keep working, keep contacting people, asking questions. And one day I'm going to come back from you and you're going to be in the plane with me. And, and that's what happened. I told her, you just keep pushing, don't give up.
How's it been for your kids? How's it been since you've been home?
Oh, obviously those, you change the relationship, but we have become stronger. We are more closer. I think we can handle things a little better, especially with the press. At the beginning, it was hard for her, especially for her, because to adjust back at home. For me, just watching her, trying to help her as much as I can to get adjusted to her routine. For me, it was easier because I'm back at work and now she's with the daughters and I feel better. But for her, it's a little different.
Alejandra, you came home right before Mother's Day and you posted on your Facebook page. I have a quote here. "Thank you, Lord, for letting me wake up this Mother's Day in my home with my family. This was a miracle. If you are struggling with something that only a miracle can help, I am here to tell you that someone is waiting to hear from you."
Yes, it was a miracle, and still is a miracle. A lot of people reach out to me and they tell me their case like I'm an immigration lawyer, and they ask me if they think they have a solution. And I say, I am not an immigration lawyer. I can refer you to a good one, which is to you. But what I can tell you is like, if I have a life sentence and I'm back, so you can.
Nearly 6 million US citizens live with an immediate family member who's undocumented. That's the statistics. I think it's a lot more, which means millions of families, including people who are watching this show right now, across the United States of America, live with the constant threat of being separated, just like you, unless Congress passes some sort of pathway to citizenship for the undocumented immigrants currently living in the United States. You know firsthand that there was no law for you to follow. And that goes for a lot of people. There's no law to follow for them to straighten themselves out. What do you tell people in this situation who are looking at you right now?
Well, my hope, Mr. Brett, is that the laws change. We have a president now in power that I believe has the power and the tools and the right people to change the law. Do you believe that the immigration laws can be changed now?
Do I believe it's going to be changed?
Yeah.
No.
You don't believe so?
I don't believe so. They may be changed to do a parole status, which perhaps could help you, but giving an amnesty for 11 million people, not at the moment. Based on what's going on in Congress at this very moment, I don't foresee it happening based on what I see and read, unless something drastic happens, and something drastic could happen. But right now, the Democrats are barely clinging to power, unfortunately. And more unfortunately, the tide looks like it's turning towards Republicans taking over Congress in 2022. And I don't think the Democrats want to go too progressive and, change anything that could make a tidal wave against them. But that's my opinion. I hope I'm wrong. You both have led both the American dream and the American nightmare. You've had both.
Yes.
All right.
Hopefully it's sweet dreams moving forward and the nightmares behind us.
Yeah.
What is your sweet American dream for the future?
That I have my wife and my daughters together for a long time and just keep working towards it, keep reaching, keep asking questions. So hopefully we can find the right answer so we can be together as a family. So I can still continue to work for my family as hard as I can.
And Alejandra?
I see dream, Mr. Brett, is that a legal path to citizenship. The one day I wake up and somehow a miracle happened and President Biden is able to find a path for legal citizenship for everyone that doesn't have a criminal record.
Alejandra, where can people follow you if they want to see what's going on in your life and learn more about your case and what happens in the future?
I basically have my Facebook blog. It's called Alejandra Juarez. And I usually post, very often post stuff about it. And I also have a YouTube page called Hope After Deportation. So they can find me over there if they want to learn more about my story.
Alejandra, you're struggling with something that only a miracle can help. I'm here to tell you that someone is waiting to hear from you. So just because I think it's not going to happen, miracles happen. You are a perfect example. We're talking to you in the United States. You asked me 2 years ago, would you be back today? I would have said no.
Yeah, I know.
I would have said no way. And here you are, and it's a miracle. So miracles happen.
Yes.
So we never know.
Exactly. We never know.
All right. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you,
Thank you
Mr.
so
Brett.
much.